What is up, Buckle Up Podcast Universe fam with Brandon Rush and Mama Rush be me, Brandon Rush today. Thank you guys for tuning back in. We've appreciated all the guests that we have had on. If you're new to the show, I'm actor Brandon Rush. I've been in 77 TV shows and movies all around the United States and Mexico. We are featuring people from everyday people from all different walks of life, and we're excited about that. We have 10.5 million viewers and listeners all throughout the world. We are in 28 countries. We are in 242 cities. I make sure I said that right the first time. 28 countries in 242 cities around the world. We have over 1,132 downloads, and we've done 88 episodes so far. We're all over the world. We're global, and I love that because it's all the different people from different backgrounds, religions, ethnicities, nationalities, whatever it is that they might be. It's all those unique people who make this world a better place. And so that's why I'm excited to have so many people from all these different backgrounds on this show. Like me and my family, we've always loved people and getting to know their stories. And just we are friends with everybody, literally. I can literally say that I'm friends with everybody. I think I know someone from every single country in the world. And I truly mean that because with my travels, with my acting, I've been all over the United States. I've worked in New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, New Orleans, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Miami, South Carolina, Virginia, San Jose, California, and Mexico. I traveled all around the United States and Mexico and met people from all different backgrounds and walks of life, thanks to God's good grace. And so I'm happy that many of those people are coming onto the show. And if I haven't met them personally, either I know a friend of theirs who has come on the show or will be on the show and said, hey, like Brandon, I think you might like this person. Because I think that everyone has a story to tell. That's why I always like meeting people. I always made a goal of mine, actually, since college at University of South Carolina, which I'm a graduate of, to meet a new person each day and try to make them smile or laugh because you never know what that person might be going through. And something I might say might just cheer them up and let them know it's going to be okay. So we have a very special guest on today. I'm going to talk about him. I'm actually going to have to read some of his biography right here in front of me. Randy Kelfurst Rodriguez, who was born in New York City. He quickly emerged as one of the masters of the wild style lettering in the graffiti revolution of the 1970s. As this new art form called hip hop was created, Kelfurst, as he also goes by, quickly became recognized as a cultural icon and a master of graffiti and street art by his peers and art critics alike. He was featured in the cult classic Style Wars, the first film documenting the hip hop culture innovation, and is highly regarded as a member of one of the most prolific graffiti crews called the Rock Stars. Over the last 20 years, his work has appeared in museums, galleries, and auctions around the world, and is part of the permanent collection of the Brooklyn Museum of Art. That is no joke. Let's see here. Kelfurst Crash Red Outline 1980. Kelfurst, this is him, a little interview that he did for CBS News. He said that I use 139 because it's the street I grew up on, but I switched to the first to further set me apart from my peers in the competitive environment of graffiti. I already like this guy. You have to do things in line time to set yourself apart. So I already like this guy that sometimes when you realize that, first off, it's great being part of the culture and moving it forward. But sometimes to set yourself apart, you have to take risk or you have to distinguish yourself, which I really appreciate that. Kelfurst, we are writers first and artists second. The work can be called art, but because what we do is write tag, we identify ourselves as writers, not artists. An artist's work was seen as in gallery or museum hanging piece. A writer's tag is used to get up, promote, advertise, or market our brand. An important part of Kelfurst's legacy in graffiti art are the various relationships he developed with writers from the other boroughs. Oh, I like that. This guy sounds like me, man. I'm like a Jon Snow type, just like he's a Jon Snow type, meaning that you bring people from all different walks of life. Actually, he is here now. Let's go ahead and bring Randy on. Make sure this is recording. Oh, I like his what he has up there. Make sure this is recording. It should be. Randy, I think you just have to cut your camera on. You'll be good to go, my friend.
Okay, give me a sec.
Oh, there we go.
My audio's bad. I have to put on headsets because this computer has a bad speaker.
Okay, yeah, you're good. This is recording. I'm just gonna leave. We had a little malfunction the other day, so I'm just gonna keep the recorder going.
No worries.
Randy, I was just giving your bio. I was reading the article you sent me to our fans when you were before you logged on.
Wait a second, I didn't get that. I mean,
oh, you're good. No,
I gotta find my. I got my headset. I just gotta make sure they synchronize with the computer here.
Oh, you're good.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
I could, but it's not the right audio. Give me a sec.
Oh, you're good.
Mic check.
Yes, Brandon Rush here. Can you hear me live and clear for the Buckle Up podcast?
One sec. It's not syncing for some reason.
Oh, you're good.
There you go. Come on. Not now.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
Take them off and put them on. This computer is a little bit finicky.
Oh, it's all good, Randy. If you want, I can even pause it and we can test it out until you get it right because I want you to be able to hear.
Yeah.
You're good.
Test
1 2. Test 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. How about now, Randy?
Jeez.
No, you're good. We got plenty of time. It's just however much time you need today. We got it.
Yeah. No, I just. Okay, let's try this. Let's see if I open it now.
Perfect.
I just had to go for this.
Oh, hey, you know what? I like the old school ones.
You know, this is old school. I went back to old school.
I know. It is the crazy part about it's like only 5 years ago.
I know. It's crazy. It's real crazy. Yeah. It's hysterical.
Well, look. So you go by Randy Kelfers Rodriguez, or
So let's just stick to Kel.
Okay, Kel. Perfect.
Yeah.
Kel, first off, I just want to say thank you so much. Welcome to the Buckle Up podcast universe with Brandon Rush. My mom's not on here today, but without a doubt, we're going to have you back too, just so you know.
Oh, I would love to, for sure.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, Kel, I appreciate you coming on. I had Nikki on, who's like your goddaughter. She said,
yeah, I love her. She's great. I spoke, well, see, the history between Nikki and I is this.
Yeah.
Her dad and I, they used to live around the corner from where I lived on 139th Street.
Okay.
Bronx. And then we went to high school. So I've known Nestor since I'm like 13, 14 years old, right?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
That is.
I mean, I've watched her from a little peanut to like who she is right now, right? So he called me the other night and they told me about you. And I'm like, of course, I would love to. I'd love to check it out. And you know, any opportunity to kind of talk about where my path has come or gone, and then the trajectory going forward of where that's, you know, it's always, you know, welcome opportunity to just chop it up and just also meet new people, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm game.
Yeah, Kel, I appreciate that so much. I started when I was reading your what they had, the CBS News article that you sent me. I realized how much me and you were alike, because in there it said that how you wanted to not only about you kind of trying to break out and kind of separate yourself from the group a little bit, but the fact that you wanted to connect all the boroughs.
Right.
What you did with the boroughs is what I wanted to do with what I've done with my acting career. My goal was to connect all these different people from all these different cities, because I've worked in New York the last 7 years, but we're connecting the East and the West back. I'm an East Coast kid originally from Virginia, but I wanted to make that connection. So when I was reading that, I'm like, Kel's like, I'm not sure if you've ever seen Game of Thrones, but
course,
I'm like,
come on.
Yeah, we're Jon Snow. you and I are like Jon Snow. Like I literally said that when I was reading it. I'm like, I said it, you'll hear the intro, but I'm like, me and Kel are exactly like Jon Snow because of trying to connect those people using ourselves. We have that, you know, innate ability within ourselves. But just getting back to it. So Kel, man, you can come on here as much as you like. I love meeting new people too, just like you.
That.
We have 10.5 million viewers and listeners in 28 countries and 242 cities around the world.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's a tremendous accomplishment. And you know, being of a digital baby myself,
Yeah.
I know the significance of it for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Kel. I appreciate that. It's all about you today. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm so excited just reading the stuff. I love New York. New York's where my heart's at. You're an OG one, and at a pioneer or something too. So it's all about you today, Kel.
Okay. Well, to your earlier point about bringing people together, right? So that collaborative essence of myself has continued many times over, and I'm happy that at this point in time, the culture itself exploded globally, right? So, and it's left a tremendous footprint and fingerprint, my fingerprints all over it as well.
Yeah.
In addition to my peers and people who I had a lot of interactions with, and some of them are not here today, unfortunately. But the ones that are here continue to support and inspire everybody else to move forward and continue that kind of either direct or indirect influence.
Absolutely.
I mean, I make it a point to interact with the community as much as possible and do collaborations with, I've done stuff with people in Australia,
oh wow,
in England, it's in various places. So, because they're reaching out to me, and we're building friendships over the social media network, which is in itself a very interesting dynamic, right? Because my social network from the past was like, you pick up the phone, it's a 10 cents call, meet me at 2:30 at Writer's Bench, see you there. If you don't get there, there's no texting. There's no texting. You know what I'm saying? There's no texting. So it's kind of cool that it was very literal. Like your word was your bond.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
And that's a huge part of the whole existence of that world for me.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know how that translates to the newer generation. How because they're so quick to like, I can't. I can't make it.
Yeah.
Right. Which, in a sense, there's a benefit, because if they're running late, they're running late. Right? Yeah. Whereas back then, you're kind of just waiting. Oh shoot, it's 10 minutes now. Right?
Yeah.
Do I wait another 5 minutes?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then of course, you really want to connect with folks, so you wait the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the 5 minutes are up, and like, damn, they didn't show up yet. Like, wait another 5 minutes. Right. And then you have to some point realize that you have to cut the loss.
Yep. You're right.
Because you have to move forward.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do that if you're sitting and waiting.
You're right.
And for me, I'm a bit impatient.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes is a long time.
It is.
But I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, because trains are late.
Yeah.
You miss the train. You're coming from a far off distance.
Yeah.
Right. And I understood that, because I spent the majority of my formative years traveling from borough to borough to borough, making friendships, almost like a party crasher, just intruding in neighborhoods where I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like, all I knew was like, there's a particular part of Brooklyn that things are jumping and they're popping, and I want to know what's over there. And I know there's other people that I'm looking to meet, and it doesn't guarantee me they're there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't know what's waiting for me on that
Seriously.
End, right? So, but I took the chance, and I kept going, and I followed the music.
Yeah.
So it's like classic Pied Piper leading everybody along. And I'm like, yo, dude, like, I get there, and like, of course, the music is jumping.
Yeah.
Wonderful food. People are having a good time. They're friendly. No one's being adverse to me in any way. And 9 times out of 10, in most of the Brooklyn neighborhoods I found myself in, I was the only Puerto Rican.
Oh, really?
And so I was a little bit of a commodity. Like, oh, you're not from here.
Yeah.
You don't dress like us. You don't really talk like us. Why are you here?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That's wild. Right? I'm thinking about that. It's wild.
Right? And I was kind of primed to that experience on the train ride there.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm going through the Bronx. It's a nice mixed crowd. It goes through Manhattan. It changes again.
Yeah.
And then it starts to go into Brooklyn, and it changes completely.
Yeah.
right? And then it goes through various flavors before it gets to my destination, where it's completely a different demographic altogether. And
Yeah.
I'm definitely not that guy. Like
Absolutely.
I don't know anybody. I stand out like you can't even imagine. Anyway,
Yeah.
but it was cool, right?
Yeah.
So
Kel, Kel, one question for you. Would you mind explaining it to the audience, because people don't realize today, but back then, like, I guess Bronx would have been like more Puerto Rican area. Manhattan, I guess, would have been more like probably more Caucasian, and then Brooklyn would have
yeah,
been more black.
to break it up, and that's kind of a fair assessment. Even though there's a mix all the way through,
Yeah.
the predominant ride starts out very mixed, Puerto Rican, African American community. Going through Manhattan, it starts to become more Caucasian,
Caucasian.
and a little bit of Spanish. And then as you get into Brooklyn, it stays Caucasian. It starts to turn more African American, but from different parts of like the West Indies,
Okay.
Jamaicans, Haitians, Trinidadians, like, which was really fascinating.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And then then it transforms to just that, and it stays that all the way to the end.
Yeah.
So when I get to these neighborhoods, they're playing like reggae, they're
Yeah.
playing like
Yeah.
so so I like music, so I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is cool. I could
I can
groove.
vibe.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in the vibe right there. And the food, who doesn't
Yeah.
like plantains and you know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking Caribbean food.
Yeah.
I'm from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
We like that's my thing, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I felt very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very much at home
Yeah.
in that sense. And
Yeah.
that was a great introduction to Brooklyn and making it my second home,
Yeah.
right? More so than the Bronx,
Yeah.
because I ended up spending a lot of time in Brooklyn, in like
Okay.
Brownsville, East
Yeah.
New York, Bushwick, Myrtle. I mean, you name it, all over.
Yeah.
But to the point that people thought
You were from there.
I was from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's a very convincing way to kind of assimilate yourself into a community that you don't
Yeah.
really, not that I don't belong, but I wasn't from there. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was kind of cool. And that's been kind of a signature, right? Because it allowed me to meet a lot of different folks, collaborate,
Yeah.
and share. The exchange was high, like, and
Yeah.
that was the whole thing. I wanted to meet these people, and I wanted to share the experience,
Mhm.
what I came with, right? And that continued all throughout my entire time as a writer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I collaborated with many, and I don't think the community knows exactly how many people, right?
You're welcome to tell us.
So there's like, in Brooklyn, there was the whole Dondi crew and all, like, which is a huge community in and itself, by itself, right? And then, coming into Manhattan, there was another group of folks. In the Bronx, it was various people,
Yeah.
right? And I continue that process where there was Futura 2000, Crash, Days, Lady Pink, Queens, right? I
Yeah.
mean, Queens representing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I continue that collaborative kind of communication with the community even today.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in Montreal, and I met some amazing guys who highly creative. They're more polished as a artist, but also as a person. We're not as raw as we were as a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old, which is good, right?
Yeah.
Time has passed.
Yeah, it has.
Should grow a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And it should be more sensitive and more serious in some instances if you're really trying to do something good, right?
Mhm.
And so I mean, I'm here, and I met a bunch of cool guys that they have their whole Montreal brand, and they call Art Gang, which is really interesting, right?
Yeah, very interesting.
It's a brand, it's a group of artists, it's a collaboration, it's a collective,
Okay.
right? Which is really fascinating. Like, I've only met like one of the guys, and he's amazing and super smart on top of that, but
Mhm.
also really kind of friendly vibe. Like, I feel at home,
Yeah.
right? Like, the welcoming is similar to arriving in Brooklyn
Mhm.
in that regard, right? But now
Absolutely.
I'm crossing an actual international
Yeah,
border
borders. Yeah.
and finding a different relationship to grow with, right? Instead of going to Amsterdam and meeting the guys in Amsterdam or in London, it's now, it continues. So instead of the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island,
It's up there and
right?
yeah.
It's like now the globe, right?
Yeah.
I'm like in another country. It's a
Yeah.
different language, right?
Yeah.
And that's fascinating to me, right? Like I like the difference in language in general,
Yeah.
whether it's the slang or the actual language itself or a slang of the language. Uh, I speak Spanish, so
Okay.
I'm good, right?
Yeah.
So I can understand some things. If I go to Italy, I understand some of the guys there.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for me as a creative person to expand, right?
Okay.
Like I'm going to learn more French. I'm going to learn more
Yep.
Italian,
By
right?
experiencing it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's more of a personal challenge.
Hmm.
It's not a necessity that I know it, but it's a personal challenge. And linguistic itself is a very captivating tool for me. Like
Absolutely. Okay.
I enjoy the challenge of how to learn it, how to speak it, how to
Yeah.
think in it, right? Very different. I mean,
Yeah. It's very deep.
I think in Spanish 90% of the time,
Oh, really?
but I speak in English,
Yeah.
right? So it's like,
That's wild. Yeah. I never thought about that.
so there's a little bit of a dynamic there that intrigues me and makes it more interesting for me to continue following where my instincts are going and who I feel most relatable to or
Yeah.
connected to in that sense. And most of the time, it's not even really graph related, right?
Yeah.
But it's the
Culture.
connection.
Yeah.
Yes, a culture, and we connect and as a people,
Yeah.
and then we're able to share. Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, I did this, or I did that, and
Yeah.
I'm not really that brag person that I did 1,000 trains or like
Yeah.
whatever.
Wait, did you do 1,000 trains though?
I can't say I did 1,000 trains because then people hold me to it. I don't know
Okay.
how many trains I painted, but I could tell you that I painted for 10 years, very solid, straight.
Okay.
I was that kid who went almost every day to go
Wow.
paint. So I don't know, but I
Yeah.
have whatever photographs that I might have taken or Henry Chalfant has taken, who
Okay.
actually has done a fantastic job. And cheers to him for capturing our community
Yeah.
and being able to preserve it so that the world can learn from it and can
Okay.
see that we existed in a very significant way, in a very important way, right? I think that's
Absolutely.
a very, very key thing. But I'll add like his entry into our world wasn't possible until he met me, and I
Yeah.
found him through a good friend who I used to write with,
Oh, really?
who came to me. He says, "Hey, man, I met this white guy with glasses and a camera, and he had pictures of your trains, and he
Yeah.
wants to meet you." And so I go to Writers Corner. That was a thing. There's a train station called Writers Bench
Okay.
on
Where's that
Writers
located?
Corner on
Yeah.
149th Street in Grand Concourse in the back platform on the number 2 and 5 train going
Okay.
uptown, right? So it was a usual thing. After school, I got off at 2:30. I got there by 3 o'clock. I went there. I went to meet my friend Dr. Pepper. Fact, he used to write, and he was with another guy, Bantu. And they're like, "Yo, we just met this guy. His name is Henry. He has pictures of your trains. He wants to meet you. Blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Okay." And we told him to come back tomorrow at
Yeah.
3:30, and you'll be here.
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, bet. I come back."
Yeah.
I was coming back anyway because
Yeah.
that's one. I lived like 10 blocks from there,
Absolutely.
so like it's easy. Bet. So I come back, and here's this guy
Yeah.
with a stack of pictures and the camera, like a really nice Nikon 35 millimeter,
Oh, wow.
amazing.
Cool.
And I was just like, "You're in the wrong neighborhood.
Yeah.
You won't get robbed."
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Not by me, but
Yeah.
there's
By
others
other.
out there. There are predators, right? Don't
Yeah.
sleep. So, so my first thing to him was really funny because I said to him, "So this is how writers greet each other,
Okay.
right? Yo, you write? What you write?" So I greeted him like that, and he just
Yeah.
looks. he looks at me like with this
Puzzled.
really puzzled, like dead stare, like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
He goes, I don't write, but I have pictures.
Yeah.
So he hands me
That's his language.
right. Yeah. He hands me a stack of pictures. And like on the very top is a train that I did. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, I know this train. This is my car. I did it with
Yeah.
Crash, or I think it was a Crash train. And I was like, cool. And I looked through and he has more pictures of other people and things that I recognize. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know all these guys.
Oh,
And then
really?
and then I hand it back to him. And he goes, I have a studio on Grant Street downtown. I'd love to meet some of your friends and kind of get to know more of you guys and share my photography collection. I just take pictures.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm a sculptor, but I take pictures and I like what you guys are doing and I want to know more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, all right, cool. I said, I will give me the address. He gave me the address. I said to him, I will go and collect all my friends and we're going to come see you.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens, right? So he goes away. I go back to my neighborhood and I go to Crash. I say, Crash, I met this white guy. He's got all these pictures of our trains. They're amazing. We got to go see him. He has a studio on Grand Street, blah, blah, blah. And then I just started to tell. So part of my is an interesting role that I play that I didn't realize I was playing, right?
Yeah.
I was kind of like the town crier, like, hear ye, we have this going on. That I was like a news reporter, and reporting on the happenings, not just of who did what new trains and where they came from or what crews they were associated with, but anything associated to that would impact us anyway. So Henry coming in, basically intruding and say, hey, I was like, oh, that's news.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
right?
it is reporting.
Right. Yeah. So and part of my background in general is my education is like I want to be a journalist.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know. That's my degree. My degree's in communications.
Oh, okay. So I want to be an architect. That didn't work out because I felt like architecture was too slow.
Yeah.
And I have a very kind of high energy vibration. Like I need to see it now. And
absolutely.
I don't want to wait. Maybe, right?
Yeah.
That bothers me.
Yeah.
But writing made it very possible for me to kind of quickly move through neighborhoods and train lines and really leave a signature behind and build on something that I didn't necessarily have a end goal, so to speak, other than the accomplishment of that moment.
Absolutely.
Right. And that moment was significant because in relation to the community itself that I was basically judging myself against or comparing myself against was high. Like I set the bar super high.
Really?
And I expected to be at that point now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it took longer.
Oh, it took a while, right?
Yeah.
But I'm a diligent student and I kept at it and I kept at it. And I think one of the most important lessons of that is this, that I keep a very focused mind, and when I latch onto something, I don't let go. I need to know without a shadow of a doubt. I know it.
Yeah.
I can close my eyes. I can see it. I can do it. Right. And that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a deep obsession and a compulsive disorder that I have, but it's made me who I am. It's made me a good student. It's made me allowed to excel in not just that, but in my actual commercial career as an IT professional.
Okay.
Like, so moving the wheel forward, that led to becoming what do you call it, a Parsons School of Design graduate, where
wow, congratulations.
Thank you. I studied communication design.
Okay.
And advertising.
All right.
I went into the deep weeds of the psychological behaviors of people and how that reacts to messaging.
Yeah.
Messaging being graffiti? No. Messaging being box of cereal or any other product.
Any design that's on something in a way. Is that what you're saying too, Kel?
But any commercial product has a relationship psychologically to the audience specific, but to the entire community of people as a whole.
Okay.
And in that aspect, the relationships are very similar, right? And so I got into that aspect of how things work and the tinkering of it, and that led to, well, I can make my own books.
Yeah.
I can create apps. I can create websites.
Oh, wow.
I can create a product out of nowhere that you would look at and you're like, damn, that's been around since 1800.
Yeah.
How
Man.
about that?
Yeah.
So the extreme power of that creativity has now superseded what graph started with, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And and then from the creative standpoint, you bring that back, and then all the things that could be done with that, right? And I experiment with all that even today in a lot of the work that I do. I really branch out into different mediums and different things and scale.
Yeah.
Right? And scale is a big deal, right? Like I learned scale independently of school. When I got to
Yeah.
school, they gave labels to things but I knew that already. I've
Yeah.
been doing it. I've been painting a whole train top to bottom all this time. Like, why are you calling it this?
Yeah.
Right?
It's just that's a technical term.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of, so in a way, school was helpful.
Yeah.
Because it taught me structure in an unstructured environment that I came from, which is important. And even how I got there when people heard that how I got into the school, it became this thing that everybody wanted to do the same thing.
Kel, will you please actually, one of the things that I'm trying to do is help the next generation, like that's kids that are coming up, trying to figure out what they want to do. Will you please go into that? Say the name of the college I think you went to one more time.
Parsons School of Design. So Parsons School of Design is like the Ivy League of design schools.
Oh, wow.
It's an international school. They're in Paris, they're in Africa, they're in Dominican Republic, they're in California. I mean, they're in a lot of places. Yeah. And they're like, the Yale and the Harvards of like design.
Okay.
Right? They're highly respected. They're part of the new school. Very difficult to get into school.
Yeah, right? I believe it.
All right, really.
Tell us the process. I want you to tell us the whole process. Like,
so, yeah. So as an artist, if you want to go there, or a designer, your portfolio has to reflect the discipline and seriousness and attention to detail of that craft.
Okay.
Right. Whether you want to be a serious illustrator for fashion, whether you want to be a painter of a sort, if you want to be a commercial designer that designs products, or an advertiser, or a publisher, so you want to show examples of magazines and books and layouts and things of that nature. All these things that I had zero experience.
Oh, wow. Going in, like even getting,
none. The only thing that I had in my pocket that no one else had of any of the students that I went to was that I went to the New York School of Printing.
Okay.
Which is no longer called that. It's called something else today. But the New York School of Printing is a trade school that had been around probably 40, 50 years.
Okay.
Right. And it was all about the print trade. So the hand setting of type and words, working with printers, creating, reproducing 4-color imagery for books or posters or whatever.
Okay.
So I became fluent in that.
Wow.
And I worked after high school, graduating from high school. I went and worked in the industry for a couple of years for a couple of different printers. And I got into the printmaking and camera work.
Okay.
So I was the guy that basically original art came to me, and I would photograph it, and then I would separate the colors by CMYK to then make individual plates that then I gave to the pressman, and then he would print it, and you would have a final image. Today, that's history because now it's all digital.
Yeah, but that's still an art form that's unique and part of history.
Oh, of course, absolutely, absolutely. So I had that in my background, right? And I proved that I could do it, and I could be disciplined enough to do it and understand it and grow with it. Because as I was doing that, computers started to creep in.
Ooh, interesting.
Right? And I saw it. And I came to the master pressman, and I said to him, I said, we got this new computer. It has all this new camera that has all this computer stuff on it. And he's like, nah, computers can't do what I do. I said, I understand that. You have a very particular craft.
Yeah.
But I think you should understand that this thing is coming and it's changing. Yeah. No, it's never going to take my job. Anyway.
Yeah.
Fast forward. you know, I had a studio in New York with another writer, Min Won,
Okay.
on Greenwich and Tribeca, right? And we're producing work.
Yeah.
It's like now 1983, 1984, and we're producing work. And my brother comes along, and he says he went to art school.
Okay.
He went to
It's in
art
your
school.
family. It's in your family to have that
Yeah,
lifestyle.
yeah.
Yeah.
He went to art and design, which was another side of the story. But people thought I was a student there because I used to visit all the time.
Okay.
So, but the school was, what was attractive to the school for me was that it was creative.
Yeah.
Like hyper creative. And there were so many different types of creative people there. Lots of graffiti writers who were trying to become the guy or girl, right? And the competitiveness was high.
Well, always, yeah.
All the time. Whereas where I was coming from, there were some, and they were very prolific.
Yeah.
Like that was the contrast. Like, because it wasn't so oversaturated like art and design.
Mm-hmm.
The guys who were there, I went to an all boys school.
Okay.
So they were the most prolific individuals in the community.
Oh, wow.
They were the guys that school was trying to be.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? And that's an interesting contrast. And I never thought about it like that. So I just mentioned it because I was like, wow, that's really what it was.
Yeah, they're trying to keep up with.
Right. It was like, really, we were the school.
Yeah.
Right. Futura went to that school, Part went to that school, Mood, Sin, Boo. Like, there's a lot of guys who are phenomenal. Okay. And I'll talk a little bit about that aspect of it. But the idea that, my brother comes along and says, hey, let's go to Parsons. And I'm like, dude, like, Parsons, really? Dude, I got a studio. I'm painting every day. At my leisure, work is moving. I'm making some money. Like, why do I want to disrupt that?
Absolutely.
Right? And he goes, no, it could be fun. And I was like, okay. And then he explained to me a few things that he had learned that might be of interest to me.
Interesting.
And I was like, look, I like learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's my thing. Like, I want to learn something new every day. And I tell I have two daughters. I'm always telling, you got to learn one thing every day.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And to be fair, I keep to that. Like, I try to learn one thing every day. So I was like, okay, let's see what this is about.
Yeah.
He goes, okay, so we're gonna go visit Angel. Angel ended up becoming my angel in this picture, right?
Wait a minute. Wait, was the guy's name Angel?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Is Angel from Connecticut?
No, unfortunately, Angel passed away. Man.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. There's a guy named Angel who did graffiti and stuff. Who was the reason I wanted to meet you, because he was telling he came up in the Connecticut, New York scene with what you call writing, but he's the one that got me on this. That's why I was like, oh my god, is it the same guy?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
No. So Angel was like the counselor at the school that basically screened everybody who was applying.
Okay.
And his particular department was the communication design department.
Got you.
Right. And I said, okay, so we go meet Angel. Angel's like this Puerto Rican gentleman, real chill, and he's asking me all these questions about art, and I have no answers because I'm like, dude, like I don't know what a still life is. I remember drawing that. But I said to him, but I've drawn different things, that weren't graffiti related, right? And that I could show. That was just basically me copying different things, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, do you have a portfolio? I'm like, yeah, I got a portfolio. I said, okay, so he took a huge leap.
Yeah.
Huge leap of faith, man. He goes, okay, come back tomorrow with your portfolio.
Yeah.
And we'll review it together before you go before the board to present yourself to try this program.
Absolutely.
Get to the program. So it was a summer program that I had to get into and pass successfully to be able to be accepted to the larger 4-year program.
Okay. Right? Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, fair enough. So I went back home and, I had a portfolio of pictures I had taken of trains and So I put it in my best foot forward, how I felt would be a good way
Yeah.
to present, like, like my
Report.
work,
Yeah.
right? I get there, and okay, he goes, let me see. So I show it to him, and so it opens up, and there's like row after row after row after row of trains,
Yeah.
and he looks at it and he's quiet, and he's just like, and then he turns the page, and there's row after row after row of trains.
Yeah.
And he does that for 2 or 3 pages, then he stops and he doesn't say a word. And
Yeah.
he looks at me and he goes, do you have anything else? I'm like, no, this is my portfolio.
Yeah.
He goes, but these are trains. I'm like, yeah,
that's my work.
That's my work. That's not it. Literally, that's my work.
Yeah.
He goes, I see. That's not what we do here. I said, okay. I said, but that's what I do.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't know that this is going to work for you. Right. So I sit in silence and listen to the deep, heartbreaking words. Like, and I was like, but shit, he's not going to let me in school.
Yeah.
So I said, look, I'm a good student. I really am. And even though you may not see that because I painted on trains and trains painting is illegal.
Yeah.
I'm really like dead serious when I speak to him. And I'm like, look, I'm a good student and I can prove it. I'll make you a deal. If I get 1 F, in fact, if I get 1 C minus, you can kick me out of the program.
Wow.
But if I get B and B plus and above, I get to stay for the 4 years.
I love that.
And he looked at me and he listened and he saw that I was really sincere.
Yeah.
I said, look, I have a background. I went to New York School of Printing and I worked in the industry. And I'm a good student.
Yeah.
I'm not a flunky. I graduated.
Yeah. Yeah.
In spite of all of that
graffiti,
I did graduate. I could prove it.
Yeah.
Right. And he goes, okay, let me think about it. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll call you. Mm-hmm. I got to really think about this. I said, okay. So I took my book. I was like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's just not going to happen. Went back to my studio, kept painting, blah, blah, blah. I get the call 2 days later. He goes, hey, I got one of my colleagues, Maya, to kind of support me and co-sign my instinct and presenting you to the board. And so we have a date. Can you be here next Monday at like 10 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. I said, sure. So, I get there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's a classic, everyone's seen Flashdance when she walks in the room and it's like the whole board.
Yeah, the old school.
Yeah, she's doing her thing. Yeah. I felt like that. So I get there, and it's, aside from, so Maya is a Latin American of some sort. I forget exactly where, and Angel's Puerto Rican. Everybody else is white. Yeah. And
it's also like Breaking, by the way. Ozone Street Dancer. If you've never seen the movie Breaking, it's also like that. I just had to say that too.
Yeah. And so there's like 8 people on this board in this big room. Everybody's quiet. So I walk in, and polo shirt pressed, my portfolio in hand.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. They're like, can you show us your work? Because they hadn't seen it. Mm-hmm. I said, sure. And I open up the portfolio, and there's train after train after train. Yeah. And the main director lady is looking at, everybody's looking at and they're just floored. They're like, what is this? Like, you could see in their faces like the angst.
Yeah.
We're gonna let this kid in and he's gonna deface our entire school.
Oh man, yeah.
That's the impression. Yeah. Right. And and on either end, it's like you have Maya looking really calm, Angel on the other side, like, oh my God, this may not go well, right? Yeah. So I got like my 2 support system on opposite ends of the table. And in the middle, everybody's just like, you could see in their vibe, they're just like, he's not coming in,
Yeah.
right? And the lady, they went through every single page
Oh, wow.
and saw train after train after train in scales of unbelievable work. And then they close the book, and then she says, "We don't do that here." And I don't. And she was quick. We
Yeah.
don't do that here, and I don't think this is the school for you. And I just quietly sat and took that in, and thought to myself, "No, man, no. That's not right. That's BS.
Yeah.
I can prove that."
Yeah.
And then someone else says something like, you might have a better chance going to School of Visual Arts, where they're a little bit more organic. He called
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. We know what. Yeah. We know it's that. I know what's
Right. And I said, look, I'm a good student,
Yeah.
and I can prove it. And I want to come to your school. I don't want to go to School of Visual Arts. I want to go to this school, and I can prove that I can be a good student if you give me a chance.
Yeah.
I said, give me 1/4. If I get one F or C minus, you can kick me out. The same thing I told Angel.
Yeah.
I said, and I can prove it. But if I get B above B, I'm in for the 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't mean just once, one. It has to be all. So it was like 6 or 7 classes I was taking.
Yeah. You're banking on yourself. I love that.
I was like across the table.
Yeah.
I can prove it. And she goes, and looks to the left, and looks to the right. And now they're puzzled.
Yeah.
Because now I put them on the spot.
Yeah. That's determination too. Yeah. Yes.
And I'm just quiet, looking at each one, like,
I'm here.
Like, I'm really here. And I can back up what I say.
Angel, Kel, I like you, man. I really do. I like you, man. I do.
And so then, she looks at me and she goes, we're going to discuss this and we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
How's that? I said, okay. I took my book. I left. I went back to my studio. I kept painting.
Yeah.
A week goes by. I didn't hear a word. Second week, I get a letter in the mail from Parsons.
Yeah.
And it's from her. I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah.
And she goes, we are delighted to accept you as part of the program.
Oh, that's a movie right there, Kel. That is a movie.
Yeah. It's so fun. And I was like, holy smokes, they accepted me.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Now I gotta things gotta change. Like a lot of things have to move around. I was quite embedded and very comfortable in the fact that, I got a studio downtown, I go to paint, I do all these things. It's very free form. It's unstructured in the sense that I don't have to, it's not like a structured setting where I got to report to certain things and do the outcomes. The outcomes are based on what I want the outcomes to be, not some expectation.
Yeah. We got to get comfortable being uncomfortable sometimes, Kel.
Yeah. So I was like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be a part of this program. So I called Angel and he was super ecstatic and congratulated me. But he also told me, like, look, man, I really went to bat with you. Me and Meyer, like, went to bat for you.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do it. Like,
you have to. Yeah.
You want to do it. You said you wanted to do it. You convinced me. You convinced her.
Yeah.
Like, now you got to really do it.
Yeah.
And he goes, you got to understand that this has structure. This has expectations. You have to really achieve certain things and you have to be committed.
Yeah.
Like, and this is going to take a lot of your time. And I know he was very clear. He goes, and I know you have a studio and you're like comfortable in your studio. This could take over your studio time.
Yeah.
Are you going to be okay with that?
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, yeah, of course. He goes, no, you don't understand. You may need to even stop having a studio to complete this.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? Like, he was really reinforcing the level of seriousness and that commitment to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yes. He goes, I still don't hear yes from you. All right. And I said, okay, if I'm accepted and I have a certain schedule to keep and it conflicts with what I am doing, then I will dissolve
Yeah.
what I'm doing to stay
For them.
committed to the task that we are dealing with right now.
Amen. Yeah.
And he was like, okay, now I heard you.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So I stayed for the 4 years.
Heck yeah.
I went overboard. I went to summer school. I did after school things. I worked within the school as a photographer in the slide library. I just went all in.
Yeah.
And I graduated.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
And at the end, he was there and he was just super proud. And we stayed friends for many, many years. And then years later, I heard he passed away. He had a heart attack.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I felt really crushed.
Yeah.
But I stayed in touch with Maya. I retired now from the school, but she and I have stayed in touch over the years.
Oh, that's wonderful, Kel.
But that was a very inspiring story because
it is.
There were many writers after me that tried to do the same thing
and couldn't.
And they couldn't get in, and they had to go back and reconfigure their portfolios to show like it's not just graffiti, it's caricature, animation, illustrations, things that I can't draw. I'm not that guy. Like I'm not going to sit and draw your portrait or still life. My thing was letters and color and shapes. It's not fine art. It's not fine illustrations and things like that would normally get me in the school. Right. I did everything the opposite.
Yours is God ordained, Kel. That's God ordained.
I feel that way. I do. Yeah. I really do. And I got in, and that became a really big part of my life going forward because it then laid the foundation for what happened afterwards. Right.
Yeah, that gave me goosebumps, Kel. I got goosebumps. I mean that. I got goosebumps. If you can see right now, I have goosebumps on my arm. The hair's up.
It became the thing that really, I like sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And when I got out of school, and computers were still relatively new, right? And the Apple computer was relatively new. And I gravitated to it immediately because I knew it was
how to do all that.
It was coming. I had experienced it in the print industry.
Yeah.
So when I got into school from in 1984, that was the big year for Apple.
Okay.
Right. And I didn't get a chance to experience the Apple product until 4 years later.
Yeah.
Where I saw it in the commercial and I was like, oh,
it's here.
This is something. No, this is something. And I remember I was in my grandmother's apartment on the Upper West Side watching TV, just random, and on comes the commercial for 1984.
Oh, the one with the girls running?
Right.
Yeah.
With
the hammer, yeah.
Right, with the hammer. And then it ends and it has a message, and then it's followed up with a black screen. And from the black screen emerges Steve Jobs.
Ooh.
And he's talking.
Yeah.
He's talking to me.
Yeah.
I'm like so fixated because he's saying all these things about the future and computing and the power and how it should be easy and it should be accessible to everyone and blah blah blah. And then he's moving around this black screen, and every time he moves to a particular location on the screen, a spotlight appears and it shows on a pedestal a particular computer configuration that has specific capabilities.
Yeah.
The first one nailed it. And this computer is a publishing station. Publishing station.
Yeah.
He's talking to me.
Yeah.
The first thing he says. Yeah. This is a publishing station.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy smokes. I can make books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he explains all these wonderful things about it. And then he walks off into another station. And then the same thing repeats. And this one is a multimedia station. And it can create all these kinds of wonderful animations. And now I'm like sprung.
Yeah.
It's moving.
Yeah.
It's moving.
Yeah. You're touched.
Trains move. I'm in. I'm in. And then he goes, and then the next station, and then this one, you can sound engineer anything.
Yeah.
You can create soundtracks. So beyond sprung.
Mhm.
And then he goes on and describes like 4 or 5 different stations in different configurations. And I'm just like, holy smokes. And then it goes black. And if you want to order a demo, call this number 800, blah, 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 whatever, Apple, and we'll send you a videotape,
Yeah.
VHS tape. I wish I still had it.
Which you did reply to. You did?
I might, yeah. Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah.
I called you. It was a free call.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. So I call immediately. I ordered the tape. I forgot about the tape. Tape finally arrives. I sit and watch it by myself,
Mhm.
and it goes into really deep detail for everything he showed.
Yeah.
Like the different applications, how the applications work. I mean, amazing showmanship and selling.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't understand it, you got a really good idea. Like, I want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I watched this tape by myself, and so I gotta add that in that apartment I live with my brother,
Yeah.
my cousin, and 2 best friends. So
Okay.
4 guys living in an apartment. But I'm watching this. Everybody's out of the apartment doing whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
and I'm like focused in on this thing. I watched the tape and I was like, holy smokes, this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
And the first thing came to mind was like, okay, if that's it, the next logical question to me,
yeah,
no, how much does it cost?
Oh yeah, which be that's like having that's Jesus. That's would be like buying a house now almost.
So I was like, okay, how much does it cost? Where can I buy it?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I go. There was a Radio Shack store near me, and I go in the store and I ask the guy, "Do you have this?" They're like, "No, but you can go to Sam Flax." They push me to different stores.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I go to the stores, and then in one of the stores, there was I don't even know if this magazine's around anymore. It
Okay.
was called Macworld.
Okay.
And I saw it and I picked it up and I start looking through it and I start seeing everything I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Prices, vendors, applications, reviews. I mean, so I like to read.
Yeah.
So I literally sat there and read. And then the guy was like, yo, you're not gonna buy it, you gotta put it back.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, sorry. I put it back. So I knew Barnes and Noble. I can go to Barnes and Noble,
read for free,
and sit comfortably and read it, and no one's gonna tell me to put it back.
Yeah.
Smart. So I sat in Barnes and Noble and I read the magazine front to back. And I pull out my little notebook and I write down the different prices to the different computers of what I saw.
Yeah.
In the video.
Hell, how much was it back then? Because it was extremely expensive back then, wasn't it?
Oh, it was ridiculous expensive, right? So then I added it up. I actually configured for myself what I wanted. I wanted a color printer, I wanted a color scanner, I wanted a color monitor, and I wanted a fast computer, and I wanted a modem.
Wow, yeah.
Oof. Right? 5 things.
Yeah.
When I added it all up, it was about $17,000.
I thought so. I knew it was. Yeah, I knew it was gonna be pricey. I knew it.
Right. So then I was like, okay. Mind you, I have a rent that's $225 a month.
Oh my gosh! Look at how nice that was.
I have a job that just barely allows me to exist.
Yeah.
Right. After paying food and all the necessities, and I was like, a bit of a deficit. Right?
Yeah, but just a bit.
So I was like, okay, so I figure, okay, how can I trim this down to reasonable?
Yeah.
And reasonable being, in my head, $2,000.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, even that's still pricey back then.
Right, but still, from 17 to 2.
Yeah, that'd be like still 10 grand today.
Right. So then I was like, I started take things out and I just stayed with just a computer.
Yeah.
And maybe a scanner. Still 10 grand.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, let's lose the scanner. It's just a computer. How about this computer? Just give me the computer. That's all I need. I can make everything work from there.
Yeah.
And it was still expensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I was like stuck. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna dwell on it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so I put it aside. I said, I'm gonna figure it out. So I said, I'm gonna present this to the guys tonight, and we're gonna have a conversation.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see who's who and what's what.
Yeah. Who's gonna
So
throw down?
Right. We had dinner. We sat. I said, guys, I got something to show you guys. I said, but I need your focus and 100% attention here. So,
Yeah.
So I said, have a seat. They all sat on the couch facing the TV, and I said, I got this tape. This tape. So I was like, this tape.
Yeah.
It was a black case, and I was like, this tape is the future.
Yeah.
This is how we are going to make money in the future. This is what's going to get us out of this problem. And they're like, quiet. They're like, okay, what's in it? I said, well, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
All right. And I put it in, and it's Steve Jobs coming from the black screen, presenting each station in great detail.
Yeah.
And they're quiet, and they're watching, and the tape ends. And there's crickets in the audience.
Oh, really?
And then, my cousin, he goes, I like it. I want to do it.
Yeah. Nice.
Right. My best friend, who I used to write with as well, says, how much does this cost?
Yeah. The practical thinker. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He was definitely the most practical thinker.
Yeah.
He was the first thing out of his mouth was like, how much does this cost?
Yeah.
The other guy didn't say a word. My brother just listened.
Yeah.
I said, well, at the very bare minimum to just get started, $10,000.
Yeah.
And they just
gasp.
thought, oh. And I was like, but it will pay for itself.
Ah, you're right. Though that's right. You saw it.
I did,
Yeah.
but I felt like the vacuum cleaner sales guy who walks in your home and pours dirt on your rug, and you're just like, "What the hell did you just do to my white clean rug?" And now I've got dirt on it that I can't clean. And I'm trying to convince you, like, "Yo, this is gonna do it."
Yeah.
And of course, I don't know if it's gonna work.
Yeah, you have a feeling,
right? And I was like, I know it's a lot, but I think we can get it.
Yeah.
Somehow. I don't know where it's going to come from, but somehow we can do it.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, I don't know. I mean, I got all kinds of like, I gotta go.
Yeah, exactly.
My girlfriend's calling.
Yeah, I got a date.
Right. Right. Like, oh, my laundry, I gotta go get it. Right?
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of like excuses that they get out of the conversation to be confronted with the fact that like you actually got to do something.
Yep.
You got to do something.
Yeah.
And that's like the biggest lesson that I try to kind of convey to a lot of the younger generations. You got to do something.
Yep.
You really can't sit and wait. You can't if the idea strikes you, follow it.
Yeah.
The commitment has to be with deep conviction.
Amen.
It has to be.
Yeah.
You could be wrong.
But hey, we go full 100% going wrong if you're going to try.
Right. So believe in it. Look, I always say, look, I believe what I believe 100% of what I believe.
Yeah.
I live by that.
I like that. Yeah.
Completely. Like, if that's it, I'm doing it. If it don't work, well, it didn't work. Right.
Yeah. But you try. You try. You're not sitting here. You're not like older thinking about, man, what if I had done that? No, you're not. You don't have regrets.
There's no if. There's no if.
Yeah.
If. What about if it works?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that.
If it works, guess what?
Yeah.
You scored.
Yeah.
You scored.
Yeah.
Right? If it don't, well, then, you got to look at what you did that didn't work and maybe get it to work. And if it doesn't work the second time, then you got to look at it again.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm a tinkerer. Like as a kid, I was that nerd who would build these model airplanes that were like
I remember
intricate.
the ones that you used to paint and
Yeah,
stuff, right? Yeah.
paint and decals and like
And they
glue
were
that
gray,
just,
gray or white.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, I had a huge collection of airplanes that I created and they would hang from my ceiling. My mom thought I was crazy,
Yeah.
you know, but I was into the, flying.
Yeah.
That was my thing. Airplanes were my thing. And then I got into the cars and engines and
Yeah.
anyway, I was that kid.
Yeah.
So I wasn't gonna let anything stop me. Like when you bought one of those model kits and you opened it, it was daunting.
Yeah.
It was scary. There were millions of little tiny, tiny, tiny little things that you had to carefully take
Figure
apart
out. Yeah.
and put in order and make sure you glue them just so with enough glue and so it wasn't a mess. So it looked like the picture.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
Right. So, attention to detail is important, but I think the biggest lesson is just do it.
Yeah.
And
Amen.
don't wait.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're successful, share it.
Yeah.
Somebody else.
Don't gatekeep. So many people gatekeep.
Right. Like what I share with you and what you do with what I share is going to be entirely different than what I did.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Man, Kel, I just have a quick story for you. I just want to say, I knew we are kindred souls. I've come across people on here. That's not a word that I throw around lightly, but kindred souls, meaning the fact that like you and I are so much alike. Before you even came on, when I was just reading your story, you'll hear the intro. I'm like, hey, I'm a lot like me and Kel are a lot alike, similar. But I know when I decided to go after becoming an actor in LA, I went full out with that, full in. But then when I made a decision that I was like, I felt kind of like a whale, and you can't keep a whale in a pond where a whale has to expand. New York was always my dream. That was the land of the giants for me. So I was like, if I can make it in New York, I can make it anywhere. But not just that. I want to see, I'm from Virginia, but I'm like, I want to see if I can compete. I know I can compete with them. I'm going to go there and show them that I can compete. So I literally, I told my friends, acting buddies, I'm going to New York to establish my career. I gave myself 3 months. I established my career in 5 weeks by doing open mic nights. But I made sure to go first. So you perform in front of a stage.
No, I'm hip to the whole thing. Yeah, I got friends that do that. Sure.
I made sure to go first because I wanted to set that bar so effing high that I wanted someone to try and touch it. From those 5 showcases I did, all five of them called me in. I've been hired by 4 of them, and I'll end up being on Blue Bloods for 5 years. So it's like, and then FBI and then Power. But it's like I went after it. I went full in with it. I believed in myself. I didn't let that doubt creep in. It's like, hey, I'm going to prove to myself that I can do this.
Right.
And like you said, so many people are afraid to take that leap.
Yeah.
You just have to.
You have to, the best description I can say is, so we all know Aaliyah, right?
Yeah.
And wonderful. And
so she was amazing. Yeah.
But she had that song.
Oh, what would you do to get to me? That one, a different one. At first you don't succeed.
Yes.
At first you don't succeed. From Romeo Must Die. Yeah.
Right. Like
dust yourself off and try. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the best description.
Absolutely.
Literally. And you gotta have bones and the skin for it. And rejection is just an opportunity to continue to do it again and better.
Absolutely. Amen.
Right? And I don't take no for an answer. I don't take anything that's creates a block.
Yeah.
From where I want to get to, a reason not to do it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the biggest lesson, man. And
yeah.
I tried to do that. Years later, I found myself just at my own free will and good spirit to go, in my travels during the day, pop in at like the Computer Whiz or whatever computer stores and see what people want to see technology evolving and how the prices are changing. So I'm a numbers freak, so I'm like watching the numbers. I didn't even own a car, but I would watch the gas prices.
Yeah.
So that was like a fascinating, the deep fascination I had with the prices of gas changing all the time, right?
Yeah.
So going into computer stores, and now I have a new thing on top of that. Like, okay, computer prices are changing, configurations are changing.
Yeah.
I'm like, just out of pure curiosity to know how things are evolving.
Absolutely.
And I would walk into these stores like Staples and places like that, and and then eavesdrop on the sales guy telling the college student and her mom that they should get this computer because it does this, that, and the other thing, and it
Yeah.
costs like $2,000 or whatever
Yeah.
ridiculous amount it was. And I'm listening and listening, and then the moment he walks away, I walk over and I was like, "That's not the thing to do."
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And they're just like, "Why?" I said, "Because that's a lot of money,
Yeah.
number one. Number two, you're going to school, right? What are you going to do in school?" "Well, I'm going to write papers and I'm going to do this." And I said, "Okay, that computer does more than
And what
that.
you need. Yeah.
And if you're trying to save money, you should buy a computer like this over here, where it's a third of the price,
Yeah.
that does exactly what you need. And when you're done,
Upgrade.
upgrade."
Yeah. Look at that,
Right.
man.
And it was so fun because I would go in all the time. It was like a little game I played with myself. I would just go in, right? And then so the game led me to another opportunity where I got a job, one of the early first big jobs I had in publishing, where and this is another funny story.
Oh yeah, you got it,
Right.
Kel.
Yeah. So check it. So in New York, in all big metropolises, they have an organization called the Art Directors Club.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So the Art Directors Club of New York is the first one that started,
Okay.
and then branched out. They're in every LA. They're everywhere. And
Really?
they are the most significant industry organization, because anybody in that world, whether it's advertising or publishing or product development, whatever, those creative agencies all go there and they present themselves to compete against each other. Who's going to
Really?
win the prize, right?
Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Right. So when I was in Parsons, we got hip to it by my advertising teacher. He's like, "Oh yeah, if you're not a member, you need to go and check it out since you're a student and you can see what it's like. And then someone needs to sponsor you
Ooh.
to be a member to get in.
Got
As
you.
a student, you can walk in.
Okay, nice, nice.
You just show your ID."
Yeah.
So when I first learned that, I was like, "Oh, perfect. I'm gonna do that."
Yeah.
And it wasn't far from the school. It was like, my school was like Union Square, and that was like Park Avenue South. So I would walk
Okay.
over on a lunch break, and I'd walk in, and there'd be amazing exhibits, and there would be industry people talking. And I was like, I had at that point started to subscribe for free to Adweek and all these
Yeah.
industry rags. So I got to understand, like, oh, that's Ogilvy Matter, that's BBDO, that's just one thing. And I got to understand all the differences with all these organizations and the accounts
Yeah.
that they controlled and the millions of dollars associated with those
Yeah.
accounts.
Seriously.
Okay. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I kept going and going, and and if there was like free lunch and things like that if you're a member. So things like that, right? So
Yeah.
I said, okay. Now, fast forward, I graduated. And I got my first job as a medical publisher, as a
Okay.
medical photographer
Okay, gotcha.
for a publishing house. So I kept my daily, literally daily routine. I would
Go
go
on.
there to check out what's going on, see what the calendar was, and I would walk in like I belonged.
Yeah. Hey, that's how you do. A Chicago guy told me that. My best friend dad, walk in like you own the place and no one will stop you.
That's it.
Yeah.
So then, one particular week I walk in and there's like, oh, tonight at 7:30, blah, 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 members only, there's a big something. I'm like, bet.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I go home, I polish up, put on a nice suit. I go to the club.
Yeah.
I walk in the door. I see same faces. And they're like, "Hi, how are you? Good to see you again." Blah, blah. They didn't even ask me for information. Okay. I walk in, make myself at home. I go
Yeah.
get a cocktail. I'm
Yeah.
walking around. I'm checking out the artwork. And I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just walking around like I'm like
you own the place. Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, like this is my spot.
Yeah.
You come to see me.
Yeah, the Puerto Rican, you said Puerto Rican, right? You're Puerto Rican, right? You're the Puerto Rican Bruce Wayne in there.
Like, dude, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you gotta come talk to me now, right?
Yeah.
Walking around, blah, blah, blah. And then I get a tap on the shoulder. And I was like, this could be good or it could be bad. Right?
Yeah.
So I turn around slowly and I look, and it's my advertising teacher.
Oh, nice.
And he goes, "You look great. You look like an account exec. What are you up to? What are you doing? What are you doing here? Are you a member?"
Yeah.
And he fired all these things at me, and I'm looking at him. I'm great. And I come to check out, I forget, Herb Lubalin or whatever famous designer was talking, because I wanted to hear and yada yada. And then he was like, "Where are you working?" I'm saying, "Oh, I'm doing medical photography, blah blah blah, around the corner." They're like, "Are you a member?" I'm like, "No," because you're not supposed to be here.
Well, then don't rat on me right now. Don't snitch.
No, I know, but it's like, and of course it's like crowded with people, and I'm nervous as hell now because it's like he's saying he called me out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but I've been coming and they let me in, so I'm here.
Yeah.
I want to meet everybody."
Yeah.
He goes, "Don't worry about it. I got you. I'm gonna sponsor you."
Oh, nice. Hey.
All right. So I'm like that. So there's another story to him. Well, I told it late afterwards.
Yeah.
So he goes, "You have to meet the president and the creative director of the club."
Oh my God.
I said, "Come with me."
Yeah.
He brings me over to the lady, Rhonda was her name. She was the creative director at that particular year. And he goes, "This is Randy Rodriguez. He is a wizard with computers, and he can help you with the annuals. You should talk to him."
Oh my gosh.
And I'm looking at him like, "Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I do that.
Yeah.
That's my
You
thing."
really do that.
No, of course not. I'll tell you that too. That's a different story.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay. And she goes, "That's great. You got to be Kurt. He's gonna love you." Kurt Heyman was the VP of Gray Advertising.
Oh wow.
And I knew Gray Advertising because I've been following the advertising community.
Yeah, you've been checking this all out. Yeah.
Right. Like I've been following them like a kid follows baseball. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Bet, bring it."
Yeah.
Introduced me to Kurt. Kurt and I stayed friends all this time, hit it off, fabulous.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I need you. Get this project done for Rhonda, and then we got to talk. You got to come to Gray." I'm like, "Bet."
Oh my God. That's an opportunity of a lifetime.
Check it. So Rhonda's like, "Can you come on Monday? And we're gonna have a conversation with the printer in Switzerland." I'm like, "What time?" She goes, 9:00. I'm there.
Yeah.
Right. So
you're taking the train at 7 from Bronx, or maybe 6.
Yeah. Oh no, I was not far. I was living in at that point. So it was like 15, 20-minute ride.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But the interesting part about all this, so the advertising teacher, going back to Parsons and my education there, I liked advertising. I did. I really, really like that. Was the funnest part of the curriculum. And so at the end, we had to do a radio spot and team up with somebody to do a radio spot. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. And then at the end, there was a personal one-on-one interview with him on the exit of the class.
Okay.
And he goes, you don't really want to do this, do you?" Right. And so to preface that, he had given us a challenge and asked the first day class, "How many of you in this class, by a show of hands, would do a cigarette campaign?"
Oh, morally, how would you do it? Yeah.
Right. He didn't ask morally. He just he just said very literally, "How many of you would actually do a cigarette campaign?"
Interesting.
And a lot of people raised their hand. I didn't raise my hand.
Yeah.
Right. And he says, why wouldn't you do it?" I said, "Because 1, I don't smoke.
Yeah.
2, I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
3, it's bad for your health.
Yeah.
And 4, I don't want to promote something that's going to hurt the public."
Amen. Good for you.
Okay.
Good for you.
So when at the end of the class, he said to me, "This is not for you," he was referencing that moment, the first day of school.
Oh, wow.
And I said, you're right. I don't think this is really my thing.
Yeah.
No, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time and I learned a lot of things. And I think
Yeah.
the class was good. And he was a big deal advertising executive.
Yeah, especially in New York, man. New York's no joke.
Oh yeah, no, he was one of those guys.
Yeah.
And that was that. But then when I saw him at the Art Directors Club and he was like willing to sponsor me, I was like, oh, that. And he didn't know anything about what I was doing. He just knew that I when I said to him, I'm working at a medical publishing house, that just resonated with him with the needs of the club that produces international design annuals every year. And they needed somebody to do the job. And so he immediately made the leap and connected the dots on just good faith. Like, you're the guy.
Yeah.
And he sold me to Rhonda as like a professional.
Yeah.
Right. So the backstory is, while I worked at the publishing house, okay, first thing, I went there with the intent to be a book designer.
Okay.
There wasn't a book design job waiting for me.
Okay.
Instead, the art director said, I don't have a job for you, but if you're interested, since you have a photography background, I have a photographer position open, and I can show you the office if you want to see it.
Yeah.
And if you want the job, it's yours.
Oh, wow.
And it was that simple. And I was like, okay, I'm game. Show me the office. So she brings me into this office, and this office is just an absolute disarray. I mean, it was just the chaotic structure of it was unbelievable for a multi-million-dollar operation.
Yeah.
And she was saying, this is the nucleus of our operation, and we need somebody to kind of like put it together, like hold it together, so we can continue printing and producing these books with doctors and hospitals, whatever. And I looked at it, I said, okay, I could work with this.
Yeah.
She goes, great. So come back on Monday and you got a job. I come back on Monday. I turned that entire office into the most immaculate, well-organized,
really
fine-tuned library any organization can do and work with.
That's what I'm talking about, Kel.
Right? And so I proved my point that I could do it. But what was really important about that experience was that I was always interested in the other side of the world. I wanted to publish. And people were in there were doing books, and amazing looking books. And I got a chance to do 1 or 2 books. So I started to understand how it's built.
Yeah.
And I got friendly with the designers and the managers. And I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my own books, but I could do that. So when I'm talking to people at the Art Directors Club, and they're like, oh yeah, can you do this? I'm like, yes, this requires, I knew all the lingo.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, you need this, and this, and this. It could be like this. I can automate it like this. I could present to you on a daily, weekly schedule. We can review things, blah, 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 blah. So I understood the production flow.
Yeah.
They gave me the job on the spot. They're like, okay, this is the budget. This is the budget.
Yeah.
You got to produce these annuals, do it. I said, okay. When do
like, bet. Yeah, I got it.
I'm in. And they're like, okay, you're going to work with an agency called Goldsmith and Jeffries. Now, the Goldsmith and Jeffries agency was responsible for giving me all the raw data to put this thing together, right? So I was more the production arm. I was like, I already knew who they were.
Yeah.
Right? They were 2 guys that came from 2 different big ad agencies, right? And they got together and they worked on the, at that time it was called NYNEX.
Okay.
The telephone company campaign. Right. And they had these real clever ads where Beeline, and then they show like a snippet of a torn piece of paper from the yellow pages, and then it showed a bee and a line.
Okay.
And it clever. And they did that thing ran and ran and ran. Like they did all really amazing.
Yeah.
Right. Anyhow, they got together. Their story was that they got together they got hip, and they didn't like how the big agencies were robbing them and not paying them enough. So
Ooh,
they're
same.
like, you know what? Well, F that.
Yeah.
We're going to create our own agency.
Yeah.
And guess what? We brought NYNEX to the table, and NYNEX is coming with us. Okay.
Yeah.
And they went and got a little tiny office. And every Friday, they had a girl Friday come in who was a receptionist and answered the phones, and them with a typewriter doing the work.
Yeah.
And they had an $11 million account.
You got to be kidding me.
And they grew and grew and grew into this multi-mega ad agency.
Wow. It's possible if you work hard, man.
Oh, dude, I was like, I had been following their progress all this time.
Yeah.
And now they're handed to me as a resource and to connect. So I go to the interview to meet with them, and there's this woman, Nora, I think her name was Nora. She was from like Panama or something.
Okay.
Right. So we vibed instantly.
Yeah.
Super cool lady. Because my stepmom, my dad got married to this Panamanian lady, and she was fabulous.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. So on that strength, we started talking about Panama and music, and there's a lot of amazing Panamanian Latin singers and musicians that I knew and I grew up with listening to, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, so we vibed on that, right? And then of course the work.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, okay, this is what we need, and I'll be your point of contact, blah blah blah. And I'll say, fine, no problem. And it just, everything worked super smooth. I delivered everything as expected, like even above and beyond. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Super branded. I was like, this is what it looks like. I established a standard that they were like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
And everything had to be delivered a certain way. She wanted it was very plain and simple.
Okay.
And to me, I wanted to show a little bit extra. I wanted to show a little more professionalism.
Yeah.
And my delivery. And so I'm saying, like, I'm delivering a real product.
Yeah. And establishing yourself at the process. Like you're showing you're putting your tailor to it.
Right. And you put, it cost a little bit extra, but it wasn't exorbitant. It took a little extra time. I did not mind investing the sweat equity into doing it, into having nice cover sheets and personal labels to stuff. And like that's nominal.
Yeah.
It's the impression of what you're making that was important to me. Right?
Yeah.
So that relationship grew really nicely. And that work became the cornerstone of it. But how I got to do it, which I haven't gotten to yet, was the fact that I worked at this publishing house and I befriended one of the managers, Eric. Eric was a nerd.
Yeah.
Like me. He just went into the nerdiest details.
Nuances. Yeah.
And I was watching him. I'm like, this cat really knows this stuff.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a designer. He was just a manager.
Yeah.
Right. And he always wanted to do something with it. Right. So he and I became friends. And I was like, Eric, I want to learn how to do this. And you are the only person that I can see that really knows this stuff how I want to learn it.
Yeah.
He goes, what do you want to know? I said, well, I got a book project and I want to learn how to create the templates and the master pages and how to import and work with all these assets and a production flow.
Yeah.
He goes, that's easy. I said, well, for you it is. For me, it's
but
not.
Make you teach it to me, yeah.
Because I don't have the software. I don't have the understanding of it. I can, and he goes, okay, well, here's the book. Read the book. Okay. I take the book, I read the book. I understand everything that the book says. I said, okay, I read the book. I understand it. I don't have the software, number one. Number two, I need help starting it. Just help me start it.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. I said, look, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
I'll pay you and I'll cook you dinner. You meet me 3 days at my apartment. And for 3 days, you get a free meal and you get a paycheck at the end of 3 days.
Hey.
And he was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so by the time I got to start this project, I had full command of the software and how to produce this book from start to finish.
Holy smokes. Worked it. Blessings too. Once again, God putting you in the right place at the right time and then being a good person on top of that. All of it. Exactly. All of those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's always, the biggest takeaway is that A, be persistent.
Mm-hmm.
B, believe 100%. Always.
Yeah.
And know that there's when the right time
Yep.
and what you need is going to appear, it's going to appear.
Yeah.
Okay. You have no control of that. Right. God decides, like, here it is.
Yeah.
It's
You're
yours.
Right. Amen.
But you have to recognize it.
Yeah.
And if you don't recognize it, guess what? You miss the train.
Absolutely.
And how many opportunities are going to pass you left and right till you finally realize, like, I asked for that.
Yeah.
I asked for it.
Kel,
careful what you ask for.
Yeah, but you were dropping gems and knowledge. You're 1000% right. When I said kindred souls, Kel, I meant it. I meant it. I can't tell you how much stuff I've, like, literally the same stuff you've done. I try to tell people. People just don't listen to it. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, I mean, my influence, in and outside of the graph community is one of my good friends, Doc. So when we were kids, he looked like what's that singer? He married Janet Jackson.
Is it Swiss Beats? Did Swiss Beats? No, Swiss Beats made Aaliyah.
Alicia.
Oh, Jermaine Dupri. What's
DeBarge.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
He looked like DeBarge.
Oh, DeBarge.
And
Leroy. I know DeBarge.
So he he was into music and a DJ and stuff like that, besides graph. But years later, he had come to me and said, I need to know this computer thing. I do. Yeah. And he goes, I know that you've been doing it. I know that you helped all these guys around us. I need help. Yeah. Like, I can't pay you, but you tell you what, I'll trade you.
Yeah.
I'll give you a laptop if you teach me.
Yeah.
My son's got a computer. I'll work off of that, but I'll give you mine and you can teach me. And that's payment. I said, fair.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't have a laptop.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, fair. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I taught him. And then he comes back to me at a different point in time and says, I sat down and I started to think about all the guys that we know who are now doing this and working with this Apple computer because of you. And I created this map, like a mind map.
Yeah.
Of all these offshoots that all come back to you.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Because you have been teaching us and helping us go through it. I mean, there's a lot of the guys that I literally took with their mom to the computer store and said, no, buy this computer here. Right. And they're now huge international artists on their own right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And it's kind of fun, and again, it's sharing
knowledge.
Like it's a gift.
Yeah.
I got it for free. I'm going to give it back.
Absolutely.
Pay it forward. Right. And I think that's one of the really key pieces to my career in the community is that it's not about me.
Yeah.
I know what I did.
Yeah.
I'm no stranger to that. Right. I understand. But I got there because of everybody else.
Yep.
Right. And they're important. Right. And so part of my personal life mission, so to speak, is to stop and think and give gratitude and be thankful that these people, all these young boys, gave up their time and energy and lives to contribute to me so I could become me.
Yeah. Amen.
Okay.
Takes a village.
I'm not oblivious to that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a student. The most intense study.
Yeah.
I spent hours literally focused in there, understanding who these kids were, what they were doing, why would they do that?
Yeah.
Why would they choose those colors? Why would they do letters like that? Why would their lines so clean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. And because I did that, fast forward, I now have tremendous skill. Like, I am not a stranger to that, and I'm not bragging, but like, I'm that guy. I could sit from start to finish.
Yeah.
I'm a full one-man band in the real sense of the one-man band concept.
Hey, I like Obi-Wan Kenobi Yoda right there.
So, to that point, you know, about 10 years ago, I had a car accident, right? And I got pretty hurt. My mother-in-law got pretty hurt. My
Wow.
ex-wife got hurt. My children didn't get hurt. But because of that, I had to wear a neck brace for like almost a year and a half.
Holy smokes.
But I took the opportunity, right? So first of all, I got to feed my family,
Yeah.
right? So I kid you not, my man, I went to job interviews with a neck brace,
Yeah.
took it off before I went in, popped painkillers, went into the meeting, pretended I was 100%,
Yeah. Holy smokes.
left there, popped another painkiller, put the neck brace, went back home, went to sleep. Okay.
Yeah.
I went to the extremes of not just that, but distance
Yeah.
to those interviews.
Yeah.
One was way out in Seattle at the Fort Lewis. So from Fort Lewis to Seattle, where I live, a good hour and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to the gate of the fort.
Yeah.
And then once you got to base and you got in, it was another 20 minutes to the location. Okay. I wasn't driving, so I
Yeah.
had to have family members drive me to and from.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Same thing, going out to Microsoft all the way on the other side of town. So finally, I bagged a Microsoft client. I'm ecstatic because I wanted to work for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what was even better, I didn't have to be in the office.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, remote's where it's at. I love remote.
Right. And I was like, man, I need this right now.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea. I have to wear a neck brace. I have to pop painkillers. I have to sleep at various moments when I can't keep up. Right. I need that flexibility.
Yeah.
So because of that, they gave me full access to software that
probably not even the market.
I couldn't even buy.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, awesome. The first thing I thought, I was like, what can I do?
Yeah.
Like, I know the job.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do the job.
Yeah.
But what can I do with the tool?
Yeah.
That benefits my mission.
Yeah.
Right. So part of that statement is that 15 years before that, I wanted to create a definitive book that was like basically like an encyclopedia of the graffiti community from a socio-economic perspective of all the individual kids and what they had done and contributed and how they came together and formed all these different crews, right? So that's quite a mouthful.
Yeah. And what's the name of the book too, Kel? Is there a name of this book?
No, there was no name to it. It was just like the history of the art history of graffiti, right? And I have tons of journals and notes on the whole thing. And in there, I started to identify specific details that were influential to me, that inspired me. And I saw that it inspired a lot of other guys.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things that came out of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, that in itself are subchapters that then became what today I call the graffiti renaissance.
Okay. Nice.
Right. So with that background, in the future, I was like, well, I can't create that book because that thing is huge. And a lot of these guys are dead or in jail. And it's impossible to collect all that information. But I can do a portion of it. And I started to sit down and I start outlining what portion can I do. And I identified a trend where in graffiti, writers used to put a number 2 in front of their tag. Too much, too many, too bad, too cool, blah, 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 blah. It went on and on and on. Too nice. I was like, I'm going to start there. Very small sample, very focused sample that pushed the boundaries of what, physically, because I was in a neck brace.
Yeah.
Right? And attention was not 100%.
Yeah.
But it also pushed the boundaries of, like, technically, how far can I produce something all the way through?
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'm going to create an app. The app was going to be very focused. It will only work on an iPad.
Yeah.
Because I knew that the nuances from iPad to phone to computer was
A lot. Yeah.
that's a tremendous endeavor. And I was like, I'm going to keep it manageable to me
Yeah.
because it's just me, right? So I went off. I established that. I collected a bunch of photography that I had, and the concept was, well, the name of the app was Too Many to Name.
Okay. Keep the two in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had pictures of all the particular train pieces of other guys that were significant, impactful, and influential. And I was like, I want to talk about these pieces and my relationships to each one of these guys.
Yeah.
But I also want to show the thinking and the bare bones sketch of each one of these things. Now, the sketches don't exist. They're not my sketches.
Yeah.
Right. So I redrew based on the photograph, the sketch. And on the computer, I made it look like a pencil sketch or a marker sketch on paper and different things like that. And the texture, I mean, visually rich.
Yeah.
And then when you swiped across, it would reveal the drawing underneath the picture.
Okay.
Right. So that was like the big advertising, right?
Yeah.
You know, with a swipe of a finger, discover the blueprints of the history of graffiti, blah, 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 you know, like.
Yeah, detail.
So I really played into everything I had developed from my professional life and poured it into it.
Okay.
And I wrote stories, and I also created verbal stories. I started talking, and then I decided, like, I'm going to expand it, and I'm going to interview guys that I know are alive. So I interview some of the guys that are alive. So with each layer, the app grew and grew. I kept updating it. And then I started, well, why not bring in the new generation?
Yeah.
So I started doing collaborations with guys in different countries, New Zealand and places like that, and putting the pressure.
Yeah.
Right? So and part of the prize for them was that it's a collaborative piece.
Absolutely.
Right. You'll be a part of this app. Right. Number one. Number two, I will draw the sketch that you're going to paint and that I will submit in my app as part of the story.
Yeah, part of the story too.
And which is another side of it, right? And so the interest was high. They're like, oh yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
I mean, one guy took the drawing and painted it literally like 2 stories high and like 70 feet long or 100 feet long. I mean, it was crazy. I looked at the scale and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And he did it in a weekend, which is insane.
Dedication.
Insane. Yeah. I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm game. Like, you know, but I put the pressure on it. I was like, look, I have a window.
Yeah.
Today is Thursday. I'm going to publish this thing on Monday. I can give you the sketch tonight. If you can paint it by Sunday and send me a picture, I'll include it.
Yeah.
Nice. Because I got you. I was like, all right, I did it. So, I mean, that was the beginning of me being able to acknowledge the community and their impact on me. And of course, I had trains that relate to that theme as well. And I included one train. And that's a thing that I want to be able to continue and elaborate more, because I think that the history of some of these guys, look, they're not defined. They didn't turn into a gallery artist.
Yeah.
They didn't turn into a pop sensation. They basically faded to black, and they're doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Life took them and went somewhere else. But it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be recognized. It doesn't mean that they're insignificant. In fact, they're quite important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a neighbor in the Bronx recently who his cousin turned out to be a very important writer.
Really?
That I was like, I used to follow. I was like, oh my God, that's your cousin? Like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Why is he not visible today?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he's not interested. I said, does he have pictures? He's like, no. And I quickly gathered pictures because I had pictures.
Okay, of his work.
And I printed. Oh yeah, I mean, that's another side of it. It's like I collected photographs of everybody else's work along this journey. It wasn't just me. It was like everybody.
Everybody.
Because it was important for me to have the visual reference to understand what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
Right. And that inspiration over time became my personal collection. So I had him in there, and I printed on 11 by 17 paper, full color pictures of the trains that I had.
Wow.
And I gave it to him. I said, look, this is your work, and people know about you. And there's a big exhibit in the Bronx by Henry Chalfant that you need to come and you need to see it, because you're going to be in there and people are going to want to know what you've been doing and what happened, right? He never came, unfortunately.
Oh man.
But I gave him the pictures, and he was happy to receive them. So I felt like I did my part.
Yeah, you absolutely did. You absolutely did.
So that's kind of an important piece of it. It's like you take, but you got to give back.
Amen.
Right?
You do.
You can't just selfishly consume and think that it's just never gonna. It's always gonna be that, and that's just wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And and one of the things is like you come across folks who feel the same way, and they're willing to give as well without
anything in return.
Exactly. There's no layer of reciprocation that's expected, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I actually enjoy about, like, I met this new group, right? There's this art gang in Montreal. Super chill, very giving, very supportive, very happy folks. They're like chill, like, come here, do this, we'll do that. And that's a refresher. Right?
Yeah.
There's no pressure cooker environment that forces you to think like you have to do this. And, there's you're squeezing a sponge because you need to be around, right? It's not that environment.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to support them. Like, this is their logo, MTL.
Oh,
right?
cool.
It looks like the Yankees.
Yankees. Yeah.
It looks like the Yankees thing. When I saw it, I was like, yo, that's cool.
Yeah.
And they're doing their thing. And I'm happy to vibe with them. Like today, like after this, we're gonna go paint somewhere. I don't know. I don't know Montreal like that, but they have a legal spot that they want to do, and I'm like, I'm game.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Like, why not? It's a time to I get to do something I like to do.
Yeah.
Right. But I also get to meet new guys. There'll be a bunch of other people there that I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure they're anticipating meeting me and having to ask whatever they're going to ask. And I'm going to be happy to talk and share.
Absolutely.
So that's all good. But I think that's the biggest piece for the next generation, is like not to be so overly consumed with yourself.
Yeah.
And forget your surroundings. Be aware of your surroundings, which is really important. And how do you interact with it and how it impacts you, right?
Absolutely.
Really key. Like, I grew up with that word in my household all the time. My dad was like, aware. You got to be aware. You're not aware. You make a mistake. I'm like, no, yes, you are. It's that. And I'm a dad now, so I'm doing the same thing he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my girls are real polished in that sense, that like they got it. Like, I drilled it into them the way it was drilled into me, so they understand.
Absolutely.
But the takeaway is really that we're here for a short time.
Yeah.
And we want to share. I feel the essence of time, that it's important to share it.
Amen.
And we don't know. I've had so many friends that have passed away on a flip.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I just
spoke to them the other day, or maybe hours ago. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
tomorrow's not guaranteed.
No, absolutely not. Look, my man Dez, K Slay, DJ K Slay.
Yeah.
He's been my friend since we were like 14 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. I spoke to him before he passed. I'm like, normal, chill. Yo, we got to do a wall together. Bet. We're going to do a wall. A month later, he's gone.
Yeah. You got to.
And I had dinner with him at his house. I would visit him at the Sirius recording studios, and
It's crazy. Yeah, that's how
From
life.
one moment to the next,
Yeah,
gone.
yeah, it's wild.
Scary.
Yeah, and Kel, two things you want to Kel. One, I'm gonna have to have you back because I love talking to you. You have so much.
That's good. I had a good time, man.
Yeah, no, you're awesome, Kel. Two things you said. You said a lot of important stuff all the way around, but two things I just want to bring up that you said real quick were one that you said your word is bond. That's how I'm an East Coast cat, just like you're an East Coast cat, man. That's how my family raised me. My word is something. If I tell someone I'm going to do something, I'm going to be there. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to be there. Like my word is my bond because it's not just me, it's my family whose name I'm speaking on. So that's the one thing there. And then the other thing you said that was great because I lived in California for a long time and I lived in Los Angeles for a long time and don't see that so much there. But the other thing is that without expecting something in return, you don't have to become friends with someone, or someone doesn't have to do something with you automatically expecting it in return. You said something along those lines of like right. People with the people you're working with in Montreal that, you're just doing this to give. You're not doing it because I need to be friends with this person because of X, Y, and Z. No, be friends with them because of that. It's not what they can give you. Just give willingly. Like it's not that. And so that's two things that, yeah.
It's being content in life, So the best description is, okay, I get invited to paint the wall. Like these guys invited me to paint the wall. Immediate yes.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like I need this color, this color, this color. I need this many cans, that many cans, that many cans. It was whatever is there.
Yeah.
Is what I will use.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't prefer.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I would prefer a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right.
But you work with what you got.
But I work with what I have, and I work within the construct of what that is.
Yeah.
And I make do with what it is. Right.
Yeah.
So it's looking at life as a whole.
Yeah.
Is the glass half empty or half full?
Yeah. Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I hear you, brother.
And I tell that to my kids all the time. Yeah. I said, stick your hand in water, pull it out. Do you have water or do you not have water?
Yeah.
You may not have a lot of water. But you have water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Can you drink? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Of course you can drink.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? And I live my life like that, man. I don't feel like I would like more.
Yeah.
I would like the abundance, and I feel that within time, I know that within time, because it has been proven, because I believe there is a God.
Yeah. Amen.
I believe it will come.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has come.
Yeah.
And I have my personal proof that I don't necessarily need to prove to nobody, because it proves it to me and to God. And that's it.
That's it.
Like I wanted that.
You got it.
I got that.
Yeah.
Okay. How I got it?
Yeah.
That's the magic of me and God.
Absolutely.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works.
Amen.
And I don't discount the reality of that, or the belief of that, or the power and strength in that, because I have seen it work over and over and over again.
Amen.
Literally. I mean, I could give you example after example of things that I've been wanting to do or I desire, and they are in my hand.
Yep.
It doesn't mean it stays there forever.
Yeah.
It arrives, and it's up to me to decide what to do with it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Kel.
Right. Dude, awesome to talk to you.
Yeah, Kel, awesome talking to you. Kel, I consider you a friend now, man. You are always welcome back on here. Thank you so much for the knowledge, the wisdom that you brought today. Kel, you're welcome back on anytime, man. Like, this is something that me and Mom created to give a voice to so many people that stories haven't been told on that. So
yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, and I'd love to have you back. Kel, just send me what picture you want to use for your podcast thing, because I'll have this back to you in a couple hours.
Okay.
So whatever photo you want for your because you're gonna be at 20 podcast stations.
Okay. You know what? You could use the cover shot of the CBS.
Okay, perfect.
That's a good one.
All right, perfect. Sure. Kel, thank you so much, man. You're a blessing. I gotta thank Nikki too. Nikki wasn't playing. When I heard her mention it, she started talking about these people. I was like, wait a minute, these people sound awesome when they come on. And
Right.
so I appreciate
Sure.
you and I appreciate Nikki.
Thank you.
Well, hey, blessings to you, man. Blessings to your family as well. Your daughters have a great dad that they can learn from. If they don't know it already, but they have an amazing man that they can learn from. I just feel honored to have had you here today to be able to learn from you myself. And we'll have you back anytime, Kel. Seriously.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
All
I'd
right,
love to,
man.
for sure.
Have a blessed day, brother.
Thanks. You too.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye.
Right.
Cheers.